Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And a very warm welcome indeed to Championship Sunday here at Major 1. An unforgettable set of matches yesterday. I'm sure some more incredible matches coming up later on today. 4 teams remain, only one will hoist the Major 1 trophy. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section on who exactly that will be. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. When you episode of the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing them. But we have to talk about the 2 series of yesterday we did not get to cover in last night's video. Crazy series went all the way down to the wire. First of which was Toronto versus Boston. Once again, at Toronto's hardpoint, I'm pretty sure they haven't won a hardpoint this entire event, which is quite incredible that they managed to make it all the way to the top 4. But I mean, yes, they had a nice advantage here on Gather 2 early on. Boston Breach ran it back though, and I mean, this kill from TJ was pretty ridiculous. And Method just going off on the main stage. Like, this guy, like, I believe he said not too long ago, like, he really wants to play Toronto, right? And understandably so. They benched him last year. They put him to the bench, brought Insight into the starting lineup, and the Methods really wanted to prove, like, well, they didn't drop him for a good reason at all, and that his new team in Boston can do exactly what it takes to take down Toronto. They almost got the job done. I mean, Method just beaming all across the map, not just the game 1, but for the rest of the series as well. This game 2 as well, Ultra had a nice advantage. I believe they're up 5-3 here on the Berlin, and I mean, Insight gets this crazy, honestly, like, pretty ridiculous 1v1 round 11. TJ's defusing the bomb. I thought he was going to be able to stretch it just enough to get away with the defuse, but Insight manages to get the angle just about on the sniper. Like, well, Bance takes down the first, and I mean, look at this, he has to readjust. Just manages to clap TJ's cheeks and get the job done in the round 11, and then we go on to, well, game 3, Toronto win that one. This is their vintage right now. It's kind of crazy that their hardpoint doesn't seem to be anywhere near what it should be, but still, they win the game 3, goes to a game 4 Berlin, where Toronto have been so good so far this year. They lost, of course, to London earlier yesterday that we looked at, and Boston win this one as well. Method just going off. Also, like, he's already on a 5 streak at this point, ends up on like an 8 streak and even further, and Boston take this game 4, force it to a game 5, but at that point you really think, okay, well, this is where Toronto just come into their own. They never seem to get phased, Toronto. Like, even if their hardpoints are terrible, as I say, I'm pretty sure that if one won this event, they still go to the game 5, and well, they still managed to get the job done. 6-4 here on the Tuscan. Toronto survive. They've been having some crazy long series this tournament, but with this team of Insight, they've never placed outside the top 3 in an event. So, well, they're trying to make that happen once again, but it's not going to get all that much easier for them with the matchup they will have later on today. This is, well, one of the tweets of the tournament, no doubt, here from CDL Intel. I wonder how long Crow's been waiting to tweet something like this out. Or I imagine he just thought it up on the fly with how beautiful this looks on the screen. This is the final series scoreboard. Method goes 90 and 71. Nero, in fairness, was again a monster. Like, 100 kills over the series, most damage in the lobby by quite some distance. Cammy not too far behind. But yeah, I mean, despite getting outslayed over the course of it, it's Toronto that get the job done in the end. As Method says, you know, wanted that more than anything. Really played a great series, Method. And honestly, at the end of the day, for Boston, top 6 is very respectable this event. That's what Zed said to me on the Breaking Point channel when I interviewed him before the event. He said if they got top 6, I'd be pretty happy. I'd buy the boys a steak dinner. I imagine that's exactly what is going down. But still, not quite top 4. Didn't quite make it to the Championship Sunday. The second series then, after FaZe got reverse swept by OpTic, they then dropped down to play Los Angeles Thieves. And as Octane says, you spawn on the ground when the first control round ends. There was something going on with the glitch in the game when, seemingly, Arcitys, that being FaZe, and Los Angeles Thieves were screwing behind the scenes. So seems like these guys actually kind of had a warm-up series already earlier in the day when they would then face off against each other just a few hours later. The game 1 really kicked up where FaZe left off in the OpTic series by just straight up getting outplayed. This is what Los Angeles Thieves do generally on Tuscan hardpoint, is they just beat any team they come up against. Drazah and Envoy especially had 2 fantastic maps. I mean, yeah, these 2 players were certainly the players of the series, at least on the Los Angeles Thieves side. And yeah, 250-201. I mean, Thieves are already feeling it. The crowd was behind them, right, which is a rare feeling, I suppose, for these LA Thieves guys, especially in an OpTic venue. But they get the job done game 1, and game 2 as well, it goes their way in round 11. Pretty ridiculous, to be honest. Like, it's pretty rare that FaZe lose round 11s in a fashion like this. But Simp finds himself in a 1 versus 4, can't win the map. Octane takes him down from range, and that's job done for Los Angeles Thieves. You're thinking at that point, okay, wow, FaZe are going to be out of this tournament. But well, that's the thing. FaZe, you can never count these guys out. Down 2-0, just like what happened with OpTic. They win the control. They then challenge LA Thieves straight up on Gather 2 hardpoints. This, of course, not a map where Los Angeles Thieves have lost so far this season. I did say in yesterday's video or 2 days ago that they will eventually lose it, and FaZe clearly figured out the combination to make it happen. I guess maybe Thieves thought, okay, maybe it's job done this series. We've got Gather 2 later up. Even if we lose the control, doesn't matter, we're going to beat them on Gather 2. Not how it goes at all. Like, I mean, Simp has a crazy run towards the end of this game. Cellium as well was ridiculous this map. 34 and 12 he's at this point. Like, this really just, well, the 35 and 12, oh my god, he actually just fried. Job done for the FaZe guys. They take it to a game 5, and at that point there really was no looking back. Like, yeah, Los Angeles Thieves, they lost some momentum. Like, the choke comes through in full effect, and that's the thing. LA Thieves, after getting reversed, well, after going from 2-0 up to 2-0 or to 2-2, losing the Gather 2 hardpoint, you're thinking at that point they're probably going to collapse in this game 5, which is pretty much exactly what they do. So FaZe from down 2-0 did exactly what OpTic did to them earlier in the day to Los Angeles Thieves. Thieves. And I mean, yeah, the crowd was going pretty rogue, right? No doubt about it. There was the overrated chants and everything coming through, which I think is pretty ridiculous, to be honest. Like, FaZe won 4 out of the 6 events last year. And like, I mean, these guys are out of control. They will win again. They might even win later on today. We'll have a look at how the bracket shapes up here in a second. But FaZe stay alive. And well, that certainly shows great promise for them to continue on making a lower bracket run, because there really does not seem to be much disadvantage from being in the lower bracket. If anything, it's a positive for them with that, well, how warm they're going to be going into the matchups they will play later today. If they can, of course, continue to make that run. Cellium with that ridiculous game 4 Gara 2 hardpoints, that gets him to a plus 26 with a 1.410 for the course of the series. But yeah, as RC says, even with all due respect, I'm challenging on Gav. GG's to Los Angeles Thieves. Octane with a few words to say as well, because Octane, we actually didn't look at his stats right here, but he had a 0.79, minus 16, only 7,500 damage on the main AR. Like, I'm completely outshone by Arcitys. He honestly had a pretty woeful tournament, to be honest. I was kind of surprised, because really it was Kenny early on, then Drazah and Envoy especially, taking over parts of games. And well, if Octane plays to his kind of expected level, then probably LA Thieves win this series, or at least they get further in this tournament. Don't get me wrong, they had a very hard bracket, right? They come up, first series, they come up against Toronto, lose that one, then they drop down to the lower bracket, they have to take down New York, they make a run through Minnesota Rokkr, and then they find themselves up against FaZe, right? So not the easiest bracket you're ever going to see, but still, top 6 not the end of the world. Lots of people were coming in here expecting Thieves to perform way better, and I mean, especially Octane individually, right? Because he seems to be back in such a great environment for him as an individual player, like enjoying his time playing with the team for the first time in quite a long time. But yeah, statistically, it really wasn't the greatest for him. And as he says, you know, super pissed at myself, right? Because he definitely didn't play up to the potential he knows he has. And if he does, they probably close out this series against FaZe one way or another. There's definitely a lot of promise still to take here from this series from the Los Angeles Thieves side. As Nature says, heartbreaker, we're close, so unbelievably close. Boys showed out this event, are not to be excited for the future of this team. So yeah, I'm sure they're not going to make any changes or anything like that. I think what JCat was kind of saying was that, I think it was on the pre-show actually, that last year they made so many moves, because every single time they'd make a move and then they'd play FaZe and lose to them. And like, they'd kind of realize that, okay, this team isn't going to win championships if we keep losing to FaZe in this way. But I feel like this team, like, they were right there or thereabouts of beating FaZe in the series. They coulda, woulda, shoulda done it or whatever. Like, they were certainly considered in this tournament one of the favorites. I'm sure they won't make a roster move. If, you know, if Octane starts showing up and plays a little bit better, then probably they will perform better in the next event and going forward as well. But yes, top 6, that's the thing. If you're a Los Angeles Thieves fan, you're probably getting pretty sick and tired of top 6 or worse at this point, to be honest. But still, lots of promise, I thought, for Thieves this event. Questions will just be raised, though, about Octane, right, and whether he can level up his game going into stage 2 and beyond. Wanted to mention this from Clayster, actually, real quick, before we go on to the games that are happening later on today, because there was some talk about, okay, what's going on with Clayster right now? Is he going to be on New York anymore? Is he going to get dropped from the team? Are they going to go their separate ways? And a lot of people were suggesting if Clayster does get dropped, he's probably just going to retire. But it seems like that's actually not going to be the case, even if he does get dropped. Going private after every tourney this year, at least for a bit, don't blame him at all. Honestly, I think a lot of pros should maybe follow Clayster's footsteps here, right? When a game finishes, like, honestly, some of the stuff you see on Twitter in the replies of these pros, I don't blame them really turning off replies and stuff after these events. But as he says, I've honestly refound my passion for COD and wake up excited to scrim every single day. You'll know I ain't going out like this, minus setbacks, he says. So yeah, I don't know if this is going to be related potentially to whatever's going on with New York, because a lot of people are saying he might well be out of there, but he's very clear that, like, look, I'm still here to compete, even if I'm not in New York anymore and I have to go somewhere else, like, I'll still get the job done. So that's good to see that Clayster still has the drive to compete, whether on New York or elsewhere. I suppose we'll see what happens. This also was noticed that they kind of did the no pressure giveaway with that no Clayster on the image. Like, I guess maybe 3 players makes more sense with the size of this one, but there also was people noticing that Clayster, I believe, has unfollowed the New York Subliners account. Now, I'm not sure when he did this. It could have been recently, could have been ages ago, but I'm not exactly sure, like, how to prove this, right? Or just people were talking about it, and apparently he might have unfollowed some other people, like his teammates on Instagram and stuff. So not sure what's going on there, but if that is the case, it might indicate that, well, relationships within that New York camp may be breaking down quite significantly, but I'm sure we can discuss that in the coming weeks, because today we've got to talk about the 4 teams that remain here at Major 1. This also, just to mention though real quick, because as Ake says, if FaZe do lose here, this will be their villain origin story. That's the thing, really, that, you know, obviously there's some forced BS that's going on that a lot of people are suggesting from the FaZe camp, but at the end of the day, like, look, they've been getting booed on the stage, chances overrated, etc. They've won 2 champs in 3 years, literally dominated the whole scene. That's disrespectful in Ake's opinion, right, that what the crowd's doing to FaZe right now, hence me saying origin story if it would start after this. I'd take that hella personal, knowing they'll obviously regain. I'll come back shooting everybody versus every team, roasting teams and crowds and interviews after winning, which of course they'll certainly win again. So who knows what FaZe are going to do, because still, they're in this tournament, they've still got a great chance of making the run all the way through the losers bracket and even winning the entire thing. And I mean, yeah, some of the flack they were taking for the crowd, I wouldn't be surprised if they, well, start bouncing back and forth, bodies get shot, like, well, trash gets talked, right, in post-game interviews and stuff like this. Who knows? But I mean, yeah, this may push them to a tipping point. Here we go then. This is the bracket bracket going into the championship Sunday. The 4 teams, OpTic, Ravens, both of these teams guaranteed top 3. One of Ultra and FaZe will come out top 4 here. Then the loser of this series will play the winner of this series, and then it goes to the grand finals. So a quite remarkable bracket, really. The usual suspects up here, and the London Royal Ravens, as well, some of us predicted going into the weekend. These are then the games on the championship Sunday. Interestingly enough, the way they schedule this, it's, well, definitely better, you could argue, for the team in losers, because the first match of the day is OpTic versus London. So this is the winners bracket finals game. The winner of this gets their spot into the grand finals guaranteed, and then it's the losers games. So Toronto play FaZe after that, then whoever wins this plays the loser of the first series, then whoever wins that plays, of course, the grand finals. So theoretically, FaZe could beat Toronto Ultra. Let's say they play London, right, in the losers finals. They could win that and go straight into the match against OpTic, where, OpTic theoretically would be very cold, right, going into this series when FaZe have just won 3 games in a row. I believe Mack, their analyst, even said at some points on the Breaking Point podcast that he would even prefer to be in losers with the format as it is, because you get that kind of hot streak and momentum going into the grand finals, given the fact that we still believe there's no advantage for the winners bracket team apart from the vetoes, which really doesn't mean all that much when there's barely any map pool and you're playing like a 9-map series anyway, right? So you're pretty much going to play everything that's in the game regardless. So it's an interesting situation. We may talk about it more in the coming days. We've got to talk about how these series might go. OpTic versus London, really excited for this one. Of course, it was a game 5 round 11 that London won it when they last played. I really think that if OpTic play their game, as they probably will at this point in front of the crowd, they should take down London. I think OpTic are going to win this one 3-1. Then Toronto versus FaZe. Like, Toronto just can't win out upward to save their lives right now. I feel like FaZe are going to get the job done here, also in a 3-1 fashion. You know we love a 3-1 fashion. And I think at that point, there's a very good chance that FaZe just make the run through losers and win the entire thing. But I'm going to go for the hot take, because I said before the event that I thought London were going to make the grand finals. So I'm going to take London beating FaZe in a 3-2 in the losers bracket finals. They play OpTic, and then OpTic win it 5-3 or something. We'll see how it goes. It's a very difficult Sunday, I think, to call. Very much intrigued to hear your perspective in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button, tell us on YouTube, God, this is a good video. I'd just like you should see it as well. And I've grown the competitive corner to the community. Thank you once again, as always, take care. And I will see you next time.